Imagine waking up every morning feeling trapped in a life that isn't yours. A job that drains you, a routine that suffocates your creativity, and dreams that keep whispering in your ear but never get a chance to breathe. Now imagine waking up and realizing that the only person standing between you and the life you truly want is you. Today, I want to show you why forcing your life to change isn't just an option. It's a necessity. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt uncomfortable? Not physically, but mentally. When was the last time you pushed yourself to do something that scared you? Something that made your hands shake or your stomach twist? If your answer is a long time ago, then maybe that's why life feels stuck. Comfort is the most dangerous place a person can live. It looks peaceful on the outside, but deep inside, it quietly kills ambition, creativity, and purpose. People don't fail because they lack intelligence or opportunity. They fail because they choose comfort over growth. The soft couch of routine, the predictable schedule, the safety of doing what's familiar. These things feel good, but they cost you your dreams. You see, comfort and growth cannot coexist. When you stay comfortable, your mind stops expanding. You stop learning new things because you already know enough to get by. You stop challenging yourself because you've built a little world where everything feels safe. But the truth is, safety is an illusion. The world keeps moving even if you don't. Technology evolves, industries change, and new skills replace old ones. The moment you stop adapting, the world quietly leaves you behind. And when you finally look up and realize that the opportunities have moved on, it's already too late. Comfort fools you into thinking you're secure, but it's actually a slow poison that paralyzes your potential. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary has faced discomfort head-on. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They didn't wait for the fear to disappear. They used that fear as a signal, a compass pointing them toward the direction of growth. Think about it. Why do we lift weights in the gym? Because resistance builds strength. The same principle applies to life. Every challenge, every difficult situation, every painful failure. These are the weights that build your mental and emotional muscles. Yet most people drop the bar as soon as it gets heavy. They say, it's too hard, or maybe this isn't for me. That's when growth stops. The people who force their lives to change are the ones who keep lifting even when it burns. Discomfort is a teacher, but most of us run away from it. We live in a world that glorifies convenience. We want faster results, shorter paths, easier answers. We want success without sacrifice, growth without pain, change without struggle. But that's not how life works. The greatest opportunities hide behind uncomfortable situations. You can't discover your real strength until you're tested. You can't know how high you can climb until you face the fear of falling. The uncomfortable moments. Speaking up when you're afraid, applying for something you think you don't deserve, admitting your mistakes. Those are the real turning points of life. Each time you choose discomfort over safety, you grow a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser, a little bit closer to your true potential. Look around at the people you admire. They're not special because they had an easier path. They're special because they dared to endure what others avoided. They made choices that most people wouldn't make. They took risks when others hesitated, and they failed over and over again, but they didn't retreat back into comfort. They stayed in the arena, bruised but unbroken. Comfort says, stay here, it's safe. Growth says, go there, it's scary, but you'll become someone new. Most people listen to the first voice. The few who listen to the second are the ones who transform their lives. Forcing your life to change begins the moment you stop seeking comfort and start seeking challenge. There will be times when stepping out of your comfort zone feels unbearable. You'll doubt yourself. You'll question whether the struggle is worth it. Your mind will whisper that it's easier to quit. And that's when you must remind yourself this pain has a purpose. Growth never feels good in the moment. It's messy, uncertain, and often lonely. But comfort is worse because it offers the illusion of peace while stealing your future. Every uncomfortable choice you make, every time you do something that scares you, you are teaching yourself courage. You are training your brain to adapt, to evolve, to believe that you can handle more than you thought. That's how transformation begins, not in the moments of ease, but in the moments of pressure. So if you want to force your life to change, start by making peace with discomfort. Don't wait for it to go away. Walk straight into it. Because the moment you do, you'll realize something powerful. Discomfort doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. It shows you who you really are and what you're truly capable of becoming. The life you dream of will not come to the version of you that hides in comfort. It will come to the version of you that's willing to step into the fire again and again until you emerge stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. That's the price of growth. And once you learn to love that discomfort, your life will never be the same again. When people talk about changing their lives, they often begin with a list of excuses. The economy is bad. My parents didn't support me. My boss doesn't see my potential. I wasn't born in the right place. The problem with these sentences isn't that they're false. Sometimes they are true. The problem is that they're useless. The moment you blame something outside yourself, you give away your power to change it. You become a passenger in your own life, waiting for someone else to drive you somewhere better. But life doesn't work that way. If you want transformation, if you want freedom, if you want to rise above the ordinary, there's only one rule you must accept: your life is your responsibility. No one is coming to save you. Taking responsibility means standing face to face with your reality and admitting, this is where I am because of my choices. It's not an easy thing to do. It's far more comfortable to point fingers at fate, luck, or other people. But here's the truth. As long as you keep blaming, you keep losing. Every time you say, it's not my fault, what you're really saying is, I have no control. And if you have no control, how can you ever change? People who force their lives to change have one thing in common: they refuse to see themselves as victims. They take charge of their time, their emotions, their decisions, and their outcomes. Even when life throws them problems they didn't create, they take responsibility for how they respond. Responsibility is not about guilt. It's about power. When you say, it's my responsibility, you are not saying you caused everything. You are saying you will change everything. That shift in mindset transforms your life. Instead of waiting for opportunities, you start creating them. Instead of complaining about your situation, you start improving it. Instead of resenting your past, you start rewriting your future. The world doesn't owe you anything, but you owe yourself effort, discipline, and accountability. You owe it to yourself to become someone capable of building the life you want. And that begins the moment you stop waiting for rescue and start building your own ladder out of the hole you're in. I've met countless people who say they want change, but they secretly wait for permission. They wait for a friend to support them, for the right job to appear, for the government to make things better. They say, I'll start when I have more money, or I'll try when I have more time. But time never arrives. Conditions are never perfect. Opportunities don't knock. You have to build the door they knock on. Responsibility means doing what you can with what you have right now. It's not about waiting, it's about acting. The most powerful phrase you can ever say is, it's on me. Because once you say that, you remove all limits. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the creator of your destiny. But taking responsibility isn't easy. It means confronting your flaws, your laziness, your bad habits, your excuses. And that's painful. It means admitting that maybe you didn't give your best, that maybe you wasted time, that maybe the reason you're stuck is because of the choices you made. It's a hard truth to swallow, but it's also the most liberating one. Because once you accept it, you realize something incredible. If your past was shaped by your choices, your future can be too. You can decide differently. You can build better habits. You can start again. Responsibility transforms regret into opportunity. It takes away your excuses and replaces them with direction. And here's the paradox: the moment you accept full responsibility for your life, you stop feeling burdened by it. Instead, you feel empowered. Because now you don't need anyone's approval to move forward. You don't need anyone to choose you. You choose yourself. You stop waiting for the world to change and start changing yourself. And as you do, the world around you begins to shift. People start respecting you more. Opportunities begin to appear. Not because luck suddenly favored you, but because responsibility made you disciplined, consistent, and trustworthy. The universe rewards those who take ownership because they're the ones ready to handle success. So, if you truly want to force your life to change, stop playing the blame game. Look in the mirror and take full accountability for where you are and where you're going. That's the foundation of transformation. No coach, no mentor, no miracle can help you unless you first decide to help yourself. Your success starts with one powerful decision: to own your story, your mistakes, your dreams, and your destiny. You can't rewrite your past, but you can take the pen right now and start writing a new chapter. And the moment you say, it's my responsibility, everything, and I mean everything, begins to change. Every person dreams of success, but very few are willing to face the storms that come before it. We all want progress, but we rarely talk about the pain that progress demands. Resilience, the ability to get up after every fall, is what separates those who wish for change from those who force it to happen. Life is not a straight road. It's full of unpredictable turns, sudden detours, and painful dead ends. The truth is, no matter how smart you are or how well you plan, things will go wrong. People will disappoint you. Opportunities will vanish. Plans will collapse. But the real test of your strength begins the moment you fall. Because falling is never the end. It's the invitation to rise stronger. Resilience is not something you're born with. It's something you build through experience, pain, and persistence. Every time you survive a setback, you strengthen your ability to handle the next one. Think of resilience as a muscle. The more it's stretched, the stronger it becomes. The first time life knocks you down, you might stay on the ground for days, maybe even weeks. But if you refuse to give up, the next time you'll rise faster. The more you train that muscle, the less power failure has over you. And slowly, you stop fearing problems. You start seeing them as part of the process, not the end of it. The world doesn't reward those who never fail. It rewards those who never stop coming back after failure. You will be misunderstood, ignored, criticized, and underestimated. That's guaranteed. There will be days when it feels like no one believes in you. Days when the people closest to you say, maybe this isn't for you. Days when your hard work produces nothing but disappointment. That's where most people quit. But that's also where resilience begins. It's built in silence, in those lonely moments when no one is clapping, no one is watching, and no one is helping. That's where you decide whether you're serious about changing your life or just interested in the idea of it. Resilient people understand that pain is not punishment. It's preparation. Every hardship you survive is teaching you endurance, patience, and courage, the exact tools you'll need when success finally comes. Resilience doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means standing tall even when it's not. It means facing your emotions honestly but refusing to let them control your actions. It means crying at night but waking up the next morning ready to try again. Some people mistake resilience for toughness. It's not about feeling nothing. It's about feeling deeply and still choosing to move forward. You may break down, you may lose hope for a moment, but you don't stay there. You rebuild. You restart. You rise again. That's real strength, not the absence of pain, but the refusal to surrender to it. Life may hit you harder than you expect, but resilience ensures you always get back up one more time than you fall. Let me tell you something: success is not built on talent or intelligence alone. It's built on the number of times you refuse to quit. The people you admire didn't have easier lives. They just had harder minds. They used failure as a mirror, not a monster. Instead of asking, why me? They asked, what can I learn from this? That question changes everything. It turns pain into progress and problems into teachers. Every rejection is feedback. Every loss is a lesson. Every setback is a setup for a stronger comeback. The moment you start seeing life this way, you stop being afraid of falling, because you know falling is part of flying. And here's something you must remember. Resilience is not built in victory, it's forged in defeat. When you win, you celebrate. But when you lose, you evolve. Losing teaches you humility, empathy, patience, and strategy. It forces you to adapt and innovate. The more challenges you face, the sharper your mind becomes. The more pain you endure, the deeper your wisdom grows. Resilience transforms you from someone who reacts to someone who adapts. You stop being scared of what might go wrong and start focusing on how you'll handle it when it does. That's how strong people think. They don't hope for an easy life, they build the strength to handle a hard one. So, when life breaks your plans, don't break yourself with it. Stand back up, wipe your tears, and move again. Even if your steps are small, even if you feel weak. Resilience isn't about running fast, it's about refusing to stop. Because the truth is, you don't need to be perfect to win. You just need to be persistent. Every great story of transformation is written by someone who kept standing when it would have been easier to give up. You can lose everything: your money, your job, your friends. But if you keep your resilience, you can rebuild it all. That's the secret ingredient of every success story. An unshakable spirit that refuses to stay down, no matter how many times life knocks it over. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is, I'll start when I'm ready. But here's the truth: you will never feel ready. Not tomorrow, not next week, not even next year. There will always be something missing. A skill you haven't mastered, a fear you haven't overcome, a resource you don't yet have. Waiting for readiness is just fear in disguise. It's your mind protecting you from the discomfort of the unknown. But the unknown is exactly where growth lives. The people who change their lives don't wait for perfect timing. They create it. They act first and figure it out along the way. Because the longer you wait to feel ready, the further your dreams drift away. Think about it. No baby learns to walk by reading a book about balance. They fall. They wobble, they bump into things. But they keep moving, and that's how they learn. Life works the same way. You can plan research and prepare for years, but you'll never truly understand something until you do it. Action is the best teacher there is. Every step, no matter how small, gives you real feedback. It shows you what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. The people who succeed aren't the ones who knew everything before starting. They're the ones who started despite knowing nothing. They trusted that they'd learn more from experience than from hesitation. The fear of starting is rooted in perfectionism. We want to make the perfect move, say the perfect thing, have the perfect plan. But perfectionism is just a sophisticated form of procrastination. It convinces you that you're being productive while you're actually doing nothing. You're not chasing success, you're chasing safety. But success is not safe. It's messy, unpredictable, and uncomfortable. That's why forcing your life to change means embracing imperfection. You must be willing to start with shaky hands, uncertain thoughts, and limited knowledge. Because once you start, something magical happens. Momentum begins to build, and momentum is more powerful than motivation. Motivation fades, but momentum keeps you moving even when you don't feel like it. Taking action before you're ready also means trusting the process. The first step won't always make sense. It might even feel like a mistake. But every step reveals the next one. The path to success doesn't appear fully lit. It reveals itself as you walk it. People who wait for clarity before moving end up standing in the dark forever. You have to take that first uncertain step and let the light show you where to go next. The truth is, you don't need all the answers to begin. You just need the courage to start with what you have. Every master was once a beginner who took that same uncertain step. You will make mistakes. You will stumble. You will face days when everything seems to go wrong. But that's part of the journey, not a reason to quit. Every failure is a piece of information that guides you forward. Every obstacle builds resilience, and every setback sharpens your strategy. Taking action teaches you more in 1 week than thinking about action does in 1 year. The problem is that most people fear embarrassment more than regret. They'd rather not try than fail publicly. But regret is the heavier burden. Years from now, you'll care less about what people thought and more about what you didn't do. It's better to look back and say, I tried and failed, than I waited and wondered. The most successful people you'll ever meet didn't start with confidence. They started with commitment. They didn't have perfect timing. They made the timing perfect by acting. They didn't have endless resources. They used creativity, hustle, and belief. When you act before you're ready, you show life that you're serious. You send a message to the universe, I'm willing to move first. And life responds to that kind of energy. Doors begin to open, opportunities appear, and people start noticing your effort. Not because luck suddenly appeared, but because movement attracts momentum. The more you do, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more confident you become. Confidence doesn't come before action. It grows from action. So if you're waiting for the right time, stop. The right time is when you decide to move. If you're waiting for courage, remember that courage doesn't come before action. It comes during it. The secret to changing your life is simple, but uncomfortable. Start before you're ready. Send the message, make the call, apply for the job, start the business, record the video, write the book. Whatever it is, start now. Because every day you delay, you strengthen your fear and weaken your faith. You don't have to be fearless to begin, you just have to be willing. Once you take that first step, the second becomes easier, and soon you'll look back and realize that not being ready was just an excuse. Look around you. Your environment is shaping your destiny far more than you realize. The people you spend time with influence how you think, how you act, and ultimately, how far you go. If you surround yourself with dreamers, you start dreaming bigger. If you surround yourself with complainers, you start complaining more. You become a reflection of the energy that surrounds you. That's why it's impossible to force your life to change if you keep walking with people who are comfortable staying the same. You can't grow in soil that doesn't nurture growth. Change-minded people are like sunlight. They challenge you, push you, and help you rise higher than you ever could alone. The truth is, energy is contagious. Sit with people who constantly talk about problems, and soon you'll feel drained. Sit with people who talk about possibilities, and suddenly your mind starts opening. You don't need to cut everyone off, but you do need to choose who gets access to your attention, your time, and your emotions. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your journey. Some people are anchors pulling you back with fear, doubt, and negativity. Others are wings lifting you with encouragement, vision, and belief. You need to know the difference. Because no matter how strong your mindset is, The wrong company can weaken it. When you start changing, you'll notice something. Not everyone will support you. Some people will mock your efforts. Some will say, "You've changed," as if that's a bad thing. They'll call you unrealistic, too ambitious, or even arrogant. But that's okay. They're speaking from their own fears, not your potential. People who don't want to grow will always criticize those who do. Don't take it personally. Take it as confirmation that you're moving forward. Growth threatens comfort. When you step out of your old circle and start aiming higher, you remind others of what they're not doing. And instead of joining you, many will try to pull you back to their level. That's why surrounding yourself with growth-minded people isn't optional. It's essential. Change-minded people see potential in you even when you don't see it in yourself. They don't let you settle for mediocrity. When you say, "I can't," they ask, "Why not?" When you fail, they don't mock you. They remind you of how far you've come. They celebrate your wins, but more importantly, they challenge your limits. You need people who make you slightly uncomfortable. Not because they criticize, but because they expect more from you. Growth happens in that kind of environment. It's not about finding perfect friends. It's about finding people whose vision of you is bigger than your excuses. Let me tell you something powerful. One conversation with the right person can change the direction of your life. It can spark an idea, shift your mindset, or reignite your motivation. That's the power of the right environment. But those conversations don't happen by accident. You have to seek them out. Attend workshops, join communities, learn from mentors, connect with people who are already living the kind of life you want. Don't be afraid to outgrow your current circle. That's what growth means. You're not betraying anyone by moving forward. You're honoring the person you're becoming. Remember, loyalty to your future must always be stronger than loyalty to your past. At the same time, be the kind of person others want to grow with. Don't just look for inspiration. Become it. Encourage others, share your knowledge, celebrate their progress. Surrounding yourself with change-minded people is not about using them for success. It's about building an ecosystem of mutual growth. The most powerful networks are built on shared energy, not shared interests. When everyone in your circle is focused on becoming better, no one feels threatened. They feel inspired. That's when real progress happens. You start feeding off each other's discipline, creativity, and optimism. Every conversation becomes a spark, every challenge becomes a lesson, and every person becomes a mirror showing you who you can still become. So take a hard look at your circle today. Who do you talk to most? What do you talk about? Do those conversations lift you higher or pull you down? If you're surrounded by people who only talk about others instead of ideas, you're wasting your potential. You need people who challenge your thinking, question your comfort, and push you to act. Because transformation doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in connection. One strong circle can change your mindset, your habits, and your entire future. And the moment you find people who believe in growth as much as you do, you'll realize something extraordinary. Forcing your life to change no longer feels like a battle. It feels like a movement. Failure. It's a word that scares most people more than anything else. But the truth is, failure is not your enemy. It's your most honest teacher. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than most people have even tried. Yet society conditions us to fear it, to see failure as proof that we're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. From school to work, we're trained to avoid mistakes instead of learning from them. But if you want to force your life to change, you have to completely rewrite your relationship with failure. You have to stop seeing it as a dead end and start seeing it as a stepping stone. A necessary part of progress, not a punishment for trying. Every time you fail, life is trying to show you something. It's giving you feedback. It's saying, "That didn't work. Try another way." But most people don't listen. They take failure personally. They think, "I failed, therefore I'm a failure." That mindset kills dreams faster than anything else. Failure doesn't define who you are. How you respond to it does. The difference between those who change their lives and those who don't isn't talent, it's interpretation. The first group sees failure as information. The second sees it as identity. When you treat every mistake as data instead of drama, you start growing exponentially faster than everyone else. Because while others are busy being embarrassed, you're busy improving. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall hundreds of times before they take their first steps. But they never think, "Maybe walking isn't for me." They just keep trying until they get it right. That's what real learning looks like. Somewhere along the way, adults forget this truth. We start believing that falling means we're not capable. But the irony is, the more you fall, the stronger you become. Every failure builds endurance, humility, and understanding. The person who has never failed is the person who has never truly tried. And the one who refuses to fail is the one who will always stay exactly where they are. If you want to evolve, you must give yourself permission to fail, loudly, publicly, and unapologetically. Failures are not setbacks, they're signals. They point you toward what needs to change, what needs to improve, and what needs to be done differently. Some of the greatest innovations, ideas, and careers were born from failure. The light bulb wasn't invented on the first attempt. It took over 1,000 tries. Imagine if giving up after the first few attempts was considered normal. The world would be a much darker place, literally and metaphorically. Every failure carries a hidden gift, experience. It gives you insights no book or mentor can provide. It toughens your spirit, sharpens your strategy, and prepares you for bigger challenges ahead. Without failure, you can't build the kind of strength required for lasting success. But here's what most people don't realize: failure only becomes final when you stop trying. The moment you quit, your failure becomes permanent. Until then, it's just a lesson in progress. Every time you get back up, you turn that failure into fuel. You show life that your will is stronger than your wounds. Some people fail once and let that define their identity forever. Others fail 100 times and use each fall as a stepping stone. The difference isn't circumstance, it's mindset. When you redefine failure as part of your growth, fear begins to lose its power over you. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What will I learn if I do?" And here's the beautiful irony. The moment you stop being afraid of failure, you start succeeding faster. Because now you take more chances. You try more things. You learn more lessons. You grow more rapidly. Most people spend their lives trapped between two fears: the fear of failure and the fear of regret. But if you had to choose one, always choose failure. Because you can recover from that. You can't recover from regret. Regret is silent. It stays with you whispering, "What if?" for the rest of your life. Failure, on the other hand, shouts, "Try again," and pushes you toward your next victory. The more you fail, the more resilient you become, and eventually the more unstoppable. So the next time you fail, don't bury your head in shame. Study it, break it apart. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Because every failure is an invitation to adapt, to rethink, and to rise. People who fear failure live small, safe, predictable lives. People who embrace it create extraordinary ones. The greatest advantage you can have is not avoiding failure. It's learning how to recover from it faster than anyone else. That's how you build momentum. That's how you build mastery. That's how you force your life to change. One brave, imperfect, failed attempt at a time. So now, let me leave you with this truth. Your life will never change by accident. It will only change when you force it to. Not with luck, not with chance, but with consistent, uncomfortable, determined action. You don't need anyone's permission to rise. You don't need to wait for the perfect day, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of yourself. You just need to start, right now, right here, with what you have. Because the life you want is not waiting in some distant future. It's waiting on the other side of your fear, your excuses, your hesitation. The difference between the life you're living and the life you dream of isn't talent, education, or opportunity. It's courage. The courage to begin when you don't feel ready. The courage to keep going when you've been knocked down. The courage to believe in yourself when no one else does. You were not born to repeat the same day over and over again. You were born to grow, to evolve, to lead, to inspire. The world doesn't need another person who plays it safe. It needs people brave enough to change their own story. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you choose growth over fear, you are rewriting your destiny. You are proving that your past is not your prison. It's your preparation. So take control of your story. Stop waiting. Stop wishing. Stop doubting. The power to transform your entire life has been in your hands all along. You just need to decide. And the moment you decide, everything changes. Force your life to change. Not someday, not soon, now. Because your future isn't waiting for perfection. It's waiting for you to show up.